See, while studying the subject of taxonomy or evolutionary biology, we encounter with the term sibling species. So what does this particular term sibling species mean? In this presentation, I am going to explain about this specific aspect. See, the dictionary meaning of sibling is a brother or a sister. It means brothers and sisters are kids of a single parents, that is real brothers and sisters. They are considered as siblings. In biology also, when we say sibling, it means brothers and sisters. But sibling species means differently. It can be explained as the groups of species which are morphologically identical, but they are reproductively isolated. It means those species which look similar in appearance, but they are separated during mating, means they cannot mate with each other, they cannot reproduce with each other. Some kind of reproductive isolation exists between those two species, but because they are morphologically identical, they are considered to be sibling species. So it was Mayr who in 1963 defined sibling species as morphologically similar or identical populations which are reproductively isolated. And this he actually explained in the species of genus Faturis. Faturis is a genus which comprises a number of species of fireflies, and these fireflies are found in North America. So he was observing about these flies, and he found that a number of species are there under this genus Faturis, and so many of them resembled each other, means they were looking each other, but I'm sorry, they were looking similar to each other, but they were actually different in their color and pattern of flashes, means the light which they were producing during night, that was varying. So he could understand that although species which belong to means different species, they are morphologically or phenotypically similar, but they could be different. And the idea of sibling species came from there. Now, these species have been reported in several groups of animals, like in many invertebrates. See, marine invertebrates are there, like annelids are there, or mollusks are there, arthropods like crustaceans are there. And in those groups of invertebrates, sibling species have been reported. We can also observe sibling species in insects, particularly in insects, like in Drosophila, some species of mosquito are known to be sibling. And in case of fishes also, certain sibling species have been observed. Among amphibians, certain species are known, and even in case of birds, the cases of sibling species are there. Now, since Drosophila has been studied to very much extent, and it was Drosophila melanogaster on which much research was done, and even it is being used as model organism. And it was found that quite similar to this melanogaster, there is another species, Drosophila simulans, which show resemblance with the melanogaster. But these two are reproductively isolated. It means if they are put together, they do not mate with each other, and if some kind of mating occurred between them, then they produce sterile, hybrids. So it means that they have been derived from the common ancestor, but they have undergone such kind of genetic change uh, in each other that they are now reproductively isolated. Likewise, Drosophila pseudo-obscura and Drosophila persimilis, these two are sibling species. That is, they look quite identical, but they are reproductively isolated. Drosophila ananasi and Drosophila pallidosa, this pair is also known to be sibling species, and Drosophila eldrichi and Drosophila willeri are also morphologically similar, but they are reproductively isolated. One thing one should remember that although at grass level they show much similarity with each other, but if someone tries to observe all the features in a very subtle level or minute level, then some kind of differences could definitely be noted. So since at grass level the members of two species, they look similar to each other, they are considered as uh, sibling species, but since they have developed pre-mating or post-mating reproductive isolation among them, they are so reproductively isolated. In some cases, you see, like in case of Drosophila ananasi and pallidosa, mating may occur, but they produce offspring, which may be even fertile. But they remain, in two different habitats, and they remain quite separated from each other. So, in case of birds also, cases of sibling species are known, like two species, one of Willow flycatcher and other one is Alder flycatcher. These are two, commonly occurring, members of a bird species, genus, and they are found in eastern part of USA. So, but they look quite similar. In this lower picture, you can see the external appearance of this Willow flycatcher, this first one, that is quite identical with the other one, which is Alder flycatcher. But what happens that when their males, produce courtship song, then such song could be recognized by their own females. It means females are capable to identify males of its own types. So their females look similar, their males also look similar. As I told, at grass level, if you catch them and observe them very carefully, you may find some very subtle, very minute kind of differences. But their females are capable to identify males of their own based on their courtship, songs. So you can say that at some level, the reproductive isolation gets established between the two species, and that make them different. Now, finally, this could be concluded that the presence of sibling species in the nature that provides ample evidence for organic evolution. This shows that probably a common ancestor gives rise to two different species. Means these are actually sibling species are derived from common ancestors, since they get separated geographically and accumulate enough genetic variation between them, so they become reproductively isolated. Thus, members of two separate populations of a species may undergo speciation because the populations get separated. So, such populations which get separated and remain separated for a long time and will be independently accumulating, mutations or genetic changes. So, they may undergo speciation process, resulting into reproductive isolation between them. And but at morphological level, at their external appearance or phenotypic level, they do not undergo substantial change.